Can Ohio State finally end their Michigan drought and reclaim Big Ten supremacy? Can this stacked 2025 roster run the table again and defend their national title? Well, the Buckeyes are loaded with five-star talent, a revamped offense, and a defense that, yet again, could be the best in the nation. But with a brutal schedule with games against Texas, Illinois, Penn State, and the game in Ann Arbor looming, is this the year that Ohio State runs it back and defeats their greatest rival, or will they fall short? In this video, I'm breaking down Ohio State's roster, offense, defense, and key players, grading every unit and diving into their toughest matchups at the end of the video in the schedule prediction segment. Will the Buckeyes make the Big Ten championship, playoff, or even run it back and get to the national title again? Or will they fall off and choke against Michigan yet again? Hi, everyone. My name is Eddie, and this is the College Football 360 YouTube channel, your home for all things college football. Real quick, I would greatly appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button. With that being said, let's just dive right in. To start off, I want to talk about the keys to success, that being the players. So as you can see on your screen, we have three categories here: key returning players, top impact transfers, and immediate impact freshmen. So let's talk about the returning players first. You got Jeremiah Smith. Everyone knows how good he is. Really, everyone does. If you clicked on this video, you know how good he is. 76 receptions for 1,315 yards, 17.3 average yards per reception, plus 15 touchdowns to boot. The only comment I'll make is that I cannot believe that Ohio State has him for 2 more years. Then you go to the defensive side of the ball. You got Sonny Styles right there with 100 tackles last season and 6 sacks, along with 5 passes defended and a forced fumble to boot as well. So he put up some amazing stats last season, was one of those leaders on the defense, and he's back for another season. Then you got Caleb Downs here as well, who last year was a sophomore, and he played really well, had 2 interceptions, a pivotal one against Texas in the Cotton Bowl, and 6 passes defended, along with a half of a sack and 81 tackles. So again, one of those leaders on the defense. If you look at stats, just based off of Styles stats are way better than Caleb Downs. Has 19 more total tackles plus 5.5 more sacks. But what Caleb Downs does is he is a presence out there. People do not throw his way. People do not want anything to do with Caleb Downs. And you can't avoid everyone, so Styles gets a lot of the benefit of that. But it's just great to have both of these guys back playing at that safety position, safety, linebacker, whatever you want to call it. And it's just awesome that they're back. Then you go to the top impact transfers. And this was an eclectic group here. You know, when you are Ohio State and you go to the national championship and you win it, you're spending all this time preparing for these games, and rightfully so. But the portal opens, right in the middle of the playoffs. So it's very hard to, get quality players out of the portal because there's just not enough time to go do and get every player that you want. But Ohio State did get a couple players that they desperately needed. Max Clare, the tight end from Purdue, was an awesome pickup in my opinion. He led Purdue. Yes, Purdue went 1-11. I get that. But he did have 685 receiving yards plus 4 receiving touchdowns that led Purdue in those respective categories. And if you get that type of production at Ohio State out of the tight end position, virtually unstoppable in my opinion. Then you have Beau Atkinson, who transferred over from North Carolina during the spring portal window. And at North Carolina last season, he had 7.5 sacks. He did not have too much of any other stats, as he had only 35 total tackles, but he is a guy who's going to come in he's a third down specialist, but they could, get him to play every down. I don't know how they will play him at Ohio State, but he's a third down specialist, that's for sure. And he's a guy that's going to get you that sack when you need it the most. So I really like that pickup as well. Then Ethan Onyanwa at tackle. I could very easily have put CJ Donaldson here, easily put Philip Daniels here at the other tackle spot, but Ethan Onyanwa was the higher rated out of both of those guys during the portal window, coming in from Rice, so I picked him, and he's going to have an immediate impact and a high pressure job at Ohio State at that tackle position. Okay, so let's put that to the side. Now let's zoom out and let's look at my positional grades here for Ohio State. As you can see on your screen here, if you are watching, I have at quarterback a B plus, running back B, receivers A plus, offensive line A minus, and coaching I have an A minus as well. So let's start from the top, work our way to the bottom. At quarterback, we already talked about saying at length, but I cannot give him higher than a B plus. Now, running back, I have a B. This is tied for the lowest rank or letter grade on the for me here. I have one other position on the defense who is a B. Excuse me, but I think that this room is definitely not as talented as last year's. Not many rooms are going to be as talented as last year's running back room, but it's a very deep room. That you bring in CJ Donaldson out of the portal. I really, really did like that. I did not put him in my impact transfers, but he was right there. He was right there at 4, and I think that he will get plenty of reps, and he's a guy that's going to be a very consistent back for them. He's not a guy who is going to hit a lot of home runs with his runs. He's not going to look particularly flashy, but he's a guy that will get you the tough yardage. And then James Peoples is a very, very interesting back, in my opinion. He is very interesting. Like I said, I mean, there's not another way to put it, because last year he did get 49 carries for just under 200 yards and 2 touchdowns. So he was put in the rotation, but we didn't see enough of him for me to really form an opinion on him. So this running back room, very interesting, very deep. You have the freshman Bo Jackson, not the football and baseball player, but Bo Jackson, freshman for Ohio State. He could possibly be in the mix there as well. So now we have receivers. I already gushed over Jeremiah Smith, so I'm not even going to talk about him. But this room, the wide receiver room and the tight end, makes for the receivers A plus. I mean, there are not many rooms that are better than this in the country. You have Jeremiah Smith, Carnell Tate, and Brandon Innes as your top 3 wide receivers, with a guy like Quincy Porter that's probably going to be taking some, significant downs as well. And you bring in a guy like Max Clare, who I already talked about, so we don't even need to talk about him again. But I think it is the best receiver room in the country. I did my top 5 wide receiver rooms. If you haven't seen that video, go check it out. I ranked Ohio State's receiver room as the number 1 receiver room. Plus, I think that they have a top 3 tight end as well. You can't find that combination anywhere else. So it's just going to make Julian Saint's life a lot easier, in my opinion. Then you go to the offensive line. Offensive line is really where I had trouble ranking this room. I gave it an A minus. I gave it the benefit of the doubt, but this room could be all over the place. I really like the upside with a guy like Tagara Tishabala at guard. I'm sorry if I butchered that. Carson Hinsman at center. He has a lot of upside. Luke Montgomery at guard, I think, could do well. Then you bring in 2 transfers at the tackle positions: Philip Daniels for the right side and Ethan Onyanwa at the other tackle position. So those guys, I think, will come in and make a good impact. They have a lot of talent on this offensive line and enough upside for me to give it an A minus. Then at coaching, I have A minus. I think the jury's still out on this new offensive coordinator. I'm not too sold on him yet, but the positional coaches, the running back coach, and Brian Hartline in to help out as well. I think that this is a very solid offensive coaching staff. I just don't believe that it is one of the best, if you know what I'm saying. Now we move to the defensive side of the ball. As you can see on your screen, my grades for the defensive side are defensive line B, linebacker A, corner B plus, safety A plus, and coaching B plus. At defensive line, I have a B. It's concerning because of the lack of experience on this defensive line. Not for lack of talent. It's a very talented defensive line. I'm giving Ohio State the benefit of the doubt when it comes to the defensive line. Very talented. They've churned out so many defensive linemen, I can't even count anymore. I'm very glad they got Bu Atkinson. That's what saved this room, in my opinion. But outside of him, there are no guys who are really have taken significant downs, in my opinion. You have Edric Houston, Caden McDonald, Kenyatta Jackson, and then guys like Caden Curry will, jump in the rotation there as well. But this is a room that is sorely lacking in talent. No, not talent, experience. And they're just off the charts when it comes to talent. So we'll see how those two mix. But for now, going into the season, I have it as a B. Now, I would say that the defensive line has the potential to be an A type of room, A plus even. I think that it definitely has the potential to do that via all the talent that it has, but right now I cannot give it the benefit of the doubt because they do not have much experience. I give Ohio State the benefit of the doubt that it will improve over time, but just going into the season at this point, you know, July the 19th, I can't really say that this room is better than a B plus type of room. Then at linebacker, I have a much more positive reviews on this linebacker room. You have Sonny Styles coming back, the senior leader on the defense, has played so many snaps for them. Arvell Reese at middle linebacker, I think, will really break out. I think he'll do great. And like I said in the previous segment, Riley Pettijohn, look out for him. Peyton Pierce as well. I think this linebacker room is very good. Excuse me. Then you have corner at B plus. This cornerback room has a ton of upside, except I do not like Davison Igbinosun. Way too many penalties. He does not play the game, to a way that I like it, in my opinion. I don't like how he plays corner, in my opinion, especially in press coverage. A lot of holding calls, a lot of pass interference calls, a lot of calls that don't get called on him because he does it on almost every play. I just don't like him as a player, in my opinion. Now, does that mean he can't get better? Absolutely. I mean, I think he can totally get better, and he may make me eat my words. I hope he does. But for right now, I think he drags the room down a little bit. I really like Jermaine Matthews' upside. I like Lorenzo Styles out of the nickelback, and then plus Devin Sanchez. Really high on Devin Sanchez, like you saw in the previous segment. So I really like him as well. And then at safety, I give it an A plus because of Caleb Downs. Man, Caleb Downs is a top 3 player in the country. Period. Full stop. And I think he's 1 or 2. I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. He's 1 or 2 right there with Jeremiah Smith. Ohio State has the 2 best players in all of college football, and one of them is Caleb Downs, and here's a free safety. Jalen McClain as well. He will probably start at that other strong safety position, and I think that he's a very good player as well. Coaching, not set on Matt Patricia at all at defensive coordinator. I Something just doesn't really feel right with either of these offensive defensive coordinator hires. Seems like they were rushed. Seems like they had better candidates on the table and they left them on the table, in my opinion. But again, excellent positional coaches. Really love the defensive line coach. Really love the secondary coach. So I really do think that this coaching room, it's never going to be below a B plus, but I have it as a B plus in my opinion here. So now let's move on to my record prediction for Ohio State. So let's look at this schedule in brief here. As you can see, I have a couple wins and losses, that will come as we progress through this schedule here. Texas, we'll talk about Texas in a minute. Grambling and Ohio, they will beat. Then you have that bye week. Then you travel to Washington. I think that will be a very tricky game. We'll talk about that one as well. Minnesota won't give them too much trouble, especially that game being at home. At Illinois could be trouble, but I'm down on Illinois, whereas everyone is buying their stock. I am selling their stock. I don't think that they're going to be over 9 wins. I think I predicted them for 8, although you will see that in a video coming up. At Wisconsin, Wisconsin does not have the talent to keep up with Ohio State. That'll be a win. Then you have that bye week, and then you host Penn State. We'll talk about that game as well in the next minute or so. At Purdue, that's going to be a win. UCLA, Rutgers will be a win. Then you have at Michigan. So right off the bat here, it's a 3-game season for Ohio State, that being Texas, Penn State, and at Michigan. At Washington could really be a curveball for them if Washington plays to their potential. I don't know if they will or not, but you never know. So we'll talk about those 4 games really, but you already have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 wins. I think they go 8-0 in these games right here. I don't think that there's any definite losses on this schedule at all. Okay, so now we can get into the prediction here. I think that they will lose against Texas. I have a game preview queued up for you guys here for this Texas-Ohio State matchup. If you guys want to see that, drop a comment down below where I preview this game in detail. I think Texas matches up perfectly with Ohio State. Plus, it's not a night game. It's a noon kickoff. It's going to be a great atmosphere either way at Ohio State, but I think Texas will get the better of Ohio State. in that matchup. I think they will beat Washington. I kind of teased that it might be a trap game. I don't think it's. I think Ohio State will beat them by 13 to 17 points, in my opinion. And then I think that they beat Penn State. I really think they do. I think that's going to be Penn State's only loss. If you saw my Penn State preview, I have them going 11-1 with their only loss being to Ohio State. Ohio State, they have that bye week. They're coming off of really 6 straight wins, but you don't really count Grambling in Ohio, but 4 straight wins off of a bye. I think that they get Penn State in a perfect situation, and I think that in that game, Penn State will probably be favored. They'll be undefeated at that point. Ohio State would have lost to Texas already. And I think that they beat Penn State. I really do. I think that James Franklin cannot beat Ohio State. And I think that it's one of those games where Ohio State just shows how much better of a program and the state of things are at Ohio State. For all the good that Penn State has been, I think that Ohio State gets the best of them in that game. And then at Michigan, I think they lose. I cannot, in good conscience, pick Ohio State to beat Michigan after I have already predicted them 3 straight times to beat Michigan, and they have not. If you guys know what I'm saying, a lot of people get mad at this prediction here, but you're traveling to the Big House to a Michigan team that is going to be eons better than what they were last year. Last year they were dumpster fire, and they still ended up winning like 8 games. Last year they were dumpster fire. They had 5 losses, which is dumpster fire for a team like Michigan, with the prestige they have. You're traveling to Ann Arbor. You lost at home to a terrible Michigan team last year. How can I expect you to go on the road and beat a Michigan team that is eons better than what they were last year, especially at the end of the season? The only question mark, well, there are a couple. I will get to that in my Michigan season preview. So subscribe to the channel, by the way, so that you can be notified and alerted when these type of previews drop. But Michigan, they have some problems at wide receiver, possibly on the offensive line, but their main problem is Bryce Underwood at quarterback. And by this point in the season, you want to get Michigan early. If you get Michigan early, then you're going to be getting a rattled Bryce Underwood who hasn't really adjusted. By this time, he will have been adjusted to playing at the collegiate level. He will have already had 11 games under his belt. And this is a game where I really think that he goes out and shines. Ohio State ends up 10-2. They do make it back to Indianapolis, in my opinion. Here, they go 10-2, 8-1 in the Big Ten, and they make it back to Indianapolis for a rematch against Penn State. All right, thank you guys so much for watching. This is the end of the video. I try and keep these season previews short and compact, and I really put a lot of effort into these videos. So if you want to support what we're doing here on the channel, it's very easy. It is free. It is to subscribe to the channel down below. And hey, if you've made it this far in the video, go ahead and like the video as it helps push this content to other college football fans such as yourself. Also, go ahead and comment what you think Ohio State's final record will be. And aside from that, be respectful in the comments, and I will answer every single one of them. Aside from that, I will see you guys in the next one.